was flying to Arizona to go to the conference, the Morgellons conference that I was hosting there 2 years ago. And I had the book AIDS, Opium, Diamonds, and Empire, The Deadly Virus of International Greed book with me, written by Dr. Nancy Turner Banks. And so I had read some of it, and so I figured I'd just open the book to a certain part and just start reading. So I opened the book, and the first thing I read is Dr. Kary Mullis, inventor of the polymerase chain reaction test. So I smiled a big grin because in my research I've learned that through the PCR testing, that is how we test for the manipulated strains of mycoplasma that were done by Merck Pharmaceuticals in the 50s under U.S. government contract. So I was pleased with the fact that Dr. Kary Mullis had invented the PCR test, so we can now test for these mycoplasmas. So I was grinning on the plane, smiling, feeling good about it. So we get to Arizona, all of the guests start arriving, we all spend a little time together, and one by one everybody just leaves. They all have things they're going to do. So it leaves Sonny and I sitting together. He says something about mycoplasma. I said, oh, it's funny you mentioned that, because I just read on the way here on the plane about Dr. Kary Mullis inventing the PCR test. And he looks at me and says, I was engaged to his niece for 3 years. I said, what? He said, Dr. Kary Mullis, his niece Kelly, and I were engaged. And, on and on. And I said, you're kidding me. And he said, no, I'm serious. And he went on to talk to me about things that they were involved in and that she wasn't really aware of much of it, none of it actually. And
to her credit, I really wasn't either until afterwards.
So, yeah, you didn't even know until
No, I
after.
didn't.
And so, as we're sitting here talking about all of this, his phone rings, and he looks at his phone, and he looks at me, and he said, you're not going to fucking believe this. This is Kary Mullis, Kandy, but I haven't talked to her in 1.5 years. Hello? And he put her on speakerphone. And there she was, talking to him and saying to him, oh my God, Sonny, I know all this stuff now. I see everything that happened, and I understand the things that we were involved with. And she was just gushing and going on and on. It was like her moment of waking up, basically. And so he asked her, what was it that woke you up to all of this? And she says, my friend's grandmother had passed away, and they had a box of old books. And they knew I love old books, so my friend brought me the box, and it's been sitting here for a few days, but I just now had time to go through them. And I'm going to send you photographs of the pages in these books. And so she started sending to his phone the pages of the book. So to me it was such an interesting concept that I'm sitting on a plane, I open the book, I read about Kary Mullis. He mentions mycoplasma, I mention PCR testing, he tells me he's engaged to the niece, we're talking about her, the phone rings, and it's her having her moment of awakening. It was just all such an incredible scene. I'm still, 2 years later, trying to digest it all and put it all together and figure it all out because it was very,
I have
very
things to say about this. Here, I'll let you do that.
Yeah,
I
it was
don't
intense.
usually go on the camera at all. Just flip it the other way. And I just usually don't even do the camera, guys. But the thing is, this is like the biological internet that's so important because we're seeing this pervasive system that's encroaching upon us. It uses our energy against us, essentially, our creative function that we're instilled with is just a human organism. And so this biological internet, it trumps this. Obviously, there was some type of resonance that brought that conversation to even being at that specific time. It's very interesting that happened, that what Kandy was just telling us there. And if you don't know about Kary Mullis, just real quick to kind of back up about Kary Mullis, this guy divided, the field of biochemistry is divided into two parts, much like history and like AD and BC. It's before PCR and after PCR. That is how fundamental his work was to the field itself, and he actually won the Nobel Prize for that in 1993. And I did not even realize that I was with Kelly. I didn't even realize that he was kin to my fiance at the time. And this is just another person in my life, personally, and part of my testimony that goes right back to NRL, Naval Research Laboratory, DARPA, you name it. This is like he's a rock star, this guy. And it's just interesting to see how that stuff plays out. And there's like this underlying theme of they bring us together so we can do the work that we need to do, and it's for the future. And the most interesting part about his testimony for some is that he attributes his discovery to his use of LSD and the interaction that he had as a result of that with beings, extraterrestrial, extra-dimensional beings. And this is part of his testimony as a Nobel Prize-winning biochemist, the most prominent in the world, literally. So putting all those pieces together is something that I always want to try to continue to expound upon and use as a part of the context of our work, because it's fundamental to how this stuff works. Tomorrow I'll be talking about the Archon connection, how it is an inorganic intelligence, how this plays out through the grid that we are interacting with on a daily basis, and what we can do to overcome this. You know, my focus has never been on let's complain, let's cry, let's be victims, or any of that. And I think that, you know, a lot of times we become misunderstood out here. And I'm somebody personally that has been very heavily censored. I have been attacked, I have been slammed. I don't choose to play the victim role for that. And in some aspects I have to appreciate it, because it does offer what we call operational security to get some of the things done that have been done since that time, all of which have been very rewarding. So I feel good about that. I just wanted to say a few things about it. I haven't really had a chance to speak much at this conference. I've just kind of been observing and so on. But all of this information together is just a really clear picture, and there's a pathway there that is continuing to evolve. It's like we're hacking through this virtual matrix jungle with our machetes.
Don't you think that the people that are here are meant to be here?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like,
Same way, I mean, they
meant to
wouldn't
be
be
here.
here, yeah. And so, you know, there's different forces at play. You know, at the last conference, something that's important to touch on the topic of these archons, and certainly in a scriptural context out of Matthew, it'll talk about how, you know, 7 spirits will come back that are worse than itself. Now, how valid is that? I mean, how does this actually reflect how does this play into the situation that we had at the last conference? Something I have to ask myself, because when I began to speak, I put up a slide of the CIA's involvement in UFO activity, and the lady, a friend of ours, Lisa, goes into a seizure in the audience. You know, Kandy runs across the frickin' room, clear her for a seizure, you know. And lo and behold, she was okay. The cops come, the ambulance come, the fire truck is there, we've got helicopters flying around us outside. And I see these other, no offense, I don't want to diminish other people's testimony, but we see these other guys making all this money. Okay, I'm out here risking my life. I'm risking my life to breathe a word of what I'm saying to any of these people. And I don't look at it in a way like I'm scared of this, but it's such like a slap in the face when you see these guys making money with so much good information, and then there's this straight fucking bullshit that leads people down the wrong path. I hate it. Hate it.
Oh yeah,
I see that. So I'm going to try to not really harp on that, certainly at a presentation like this, but it is something that is a factor of all this, and it just drives me nuts. And so what I was getting at is
The biological internet.
that is just, you know, what is that? It's, you know, some people, I think the Heart Math Institute is put out some good material. I don't want to endorse any of these people because I don't know enough about them, but when we talk about like the heart's intuitive intelligence, how it plays a role, how your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions are all playing a role in your direct physical environment. There's a relationship there that you are just built to have with your environment. You know, when you have an artificial stimulus that comes in to seek and to harness that natural ability that we have, that's what we're looking at. And it's a multifaceted system. And what does that show us about ourselves? This thing has tried to figure out every fucking way that it can to get into our bodies, into our spirit, into every aspect of our lives, from the television to the curriculum in school. Food, air, water, fuck. You know? And so that's a testament to how powerful we truly are. And it's something that encourages me personally, because look at all the stuff that it's done. Well, we're still, look at us. We're here. And so are we functioning at our highest capacity? Certainly not. Are we doing that as a collective? No, we're not. Like, there's a lot of, please get up off the fucking couch. You know, stop worrying about the bullshit. If you want to think the earth is flat, dude, whatever. You know, to me, the earth is multidimensional. If you want to think this out or the other, it's not about that. It's about, let's identify the common goals, make a consensus in the community and amongst ourselves as researchers, as friends, as lovers, as poets, whatever the fuck you call yourself. And I have these R-rated tendencies. I don't apologize for that. But I just wanted to get a little bit off my chest a little bit.
Excellent.
Makes me
I
feel
can't
better.
wait to hear what you have to say tomorrow.
I'm still putting it together, but I appreciate
gonna
it.
be
It'll
awesome.
be good. It'll be good.
I hope you do it before I leave for my flight.
What time is that?
3 o'clock.
It'll be done. By
Okay.
then, yeah.